If you've been in the recruitment space, you already know the pattern. Event after event after event, hundreds, sometimes 400 to 500 dancers, all hoping to get seen by that one dream college coach. Parents buying tickets after tickets after tickets, and I'm not just talking about event tickets, I'm talking about airplane tickets, I'm talking about hotels, just to get their dancers in front of that one coach. And every dancer that I talk to, I hear it all the time. When you go to these events with 500 dancers, 400 dancers, it's easy to get lost in that crowd unless you are a part of that 10%. And that's the part of the system we are not talking about enough. I went to a Sharpen Up event this past year, the summit, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this. I saw every single dancer, and more importantly, every single coach saw what I was seeing. That matters. What you're about to hear is not a puff piece. This isn't hype for the sake of hype. This is a real conversation about intentional recruitment, visibility that actually works, and creating opportunities that go beyond just the college lane. Talent agencies, cruise ships, professional opportunities, and long-term pathways dancers don't even realize are available for them. If you are a dancer or a parent trying to navigate a crowded, overwhelming recruitment land space, this episode might just give you the clarity and the edge that you've been looking for. Let's get into it.
Hey, my name is Kyle Rush, and you are watching the No Counts Given podcast.
The Rocky Mountain Pop-Up Summit is back for year 2. Join us March 1st, 2026 at Cherokee Trail High School in Aurora, Colorado for a one-day recruiting experience with real impact. Dancers of classes 2026 to 2029 will connect with college coaches, practice audition skills, and receive meaningful feedback. Recruiters attend at no cost. Parents and coaches gain insight to support their dancer. Add the Golden Hour VIP experience and a free Sharpen Up movement band training class. Rocky Mountain Pop-Up Summit, where preparation meets opportunity. Every time we have conversations about the topic, I feel it to be so productive because the way you guys pour your heart into your guys' event. So it's important that we come on and we talk all things Sharpen Up dance team training, not just recruiting events. We're talking about the TikTok viral bands, your guys' qualifications, all of the stuff that you guys do. But first, obviously, let's just go one by one. Introduce your guys' selves. Talk about your guys' incredible resumes, how you guys got to where you are now. Whoever wants to start.
Kyle, we're so excited to
so
be
excited to be
here.
here.
Thank you. Do you want to start?
No, yeah, I was gonna say you go for it, girl. Wow.
Yes. So my name is Rani, one of the co-founders and current president of Sharpen Up. And I'm actually originally from Omaha, Nebraska. That's where I got all of my dance training. So joined a POM team in high school. I also was on an all-star team, danced in college for UNO Mavericks, go Mavs, and was a UDA staffer. Started coaching right away after high school. My sister was still on the dance team, so I've been coaching since 2002. And after college went NFL. So I was with the Chiefs in 07 and then 3 seasons with the Cardinals after that, which is what brought me to Arizona.
When we met,
Where we met, yeah. While I was here, my longest term coaching position was with Pinnacle High School. So, and that's where we became friends when we were co-coaches at the time. Director of the Spirit line there, and then moved on to coach Grand Canyon University as the head coach next to GK, which was incredible. And then in the meantime, Sharpen Up was forming, but I'll let Lindsey tell you.
So thanks again. Like, it's actually kind of nice because I don't think that, we come from the era of no YouTube, like MySpace was there. I'm even trying to dig up like old photos from MySpace and can't get on it. So I'm like, oh, this is really nice. So I'm Lindsey, again, one of the co-founders of Sharpen Up. I am from Pittsburgh, but grew up out here. Went to Arizona State University, but it's actually kind of a crazy little bit of a story. In high school, dance team wasn't really my thing. I danced on a dance company. My school did not have a dance pom line or anything like that. So Broadway was my route, was what I really wanted to do. So I took voice lessons 3 times a week. I did musical theater, I danced at studio, I danced in the dance company at school. So my direct path actually, once I graduated from high school, was to move to New York, go and dance and sing on Broadway. That was my goal. And my dad came upstairs, turned on the TV after September 11th and said, I need a new plan. So at that point, it was like scrambling to figure out what I was going to do because college was not my route. It was not what I was passionate about. So I actually went and auditioned for a couple different dance companies. I auditioned for the ASU Hip Hop Coalition, even though I was not
Wow.
registered to go to ASU. So I made it on the team and I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So I ended up being like a non-degree seeking student so that I could dance on the ASU Hip Hop Coalition. And then I got my credits for the first 2 years and a scholarship over at Scottsdale Community College where I danced on their pre-professional movement company. So I ended up getting a full scholarship for
Wow.
community college and going that route. And then when I went over to ASU after the Hip Hop Coalition like season, I auditioned for their dance program. So I actually have a dance degree with an emphasis in choreography from ASU, the Herberger College of Fine Arts. So my route was just a little bit different because I didn't know if college was my path. But at that time, I was dancing on the Hip Hop Coalition because you at ASU could not be a dance major and dance on the dance team at the same time.
Oh,
So
wow.
again, like,
common around.
yes, it was
It's
at
still
that
common
time
around
because
here.
it was, I kind of was, I mean, I hate to even like say this out loud, but a little bit shunned because I loved choreography and dance team style and more dance studio style than I did the emphasis at ASU because at that time they were very modern push.
Yeah.
But while I was at ASU, I ended up going and coaching at Chaparral High School for a season and then got recruited to another team for half of a season. And then I just could not manage that schedule while I was coaching. So instead decided to open up a dance studio. And so I had a dance studio while I was going to school full time with a business partner of mine. And we ended up diving into the all-star world. And so ended up having like our dance companies, but also on the all-star pom side. So it was just like a lot going on.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then at that time, going into choreography. And then once the studio shifted during kind of like the crash, I ended up starting to do bigger auditions and toured and dance with different artists and things like that. So my route was a little bit different at the
Yeah.
beginning because I went more the professional side and then kind of scaled it back when I got offers to come in and coach. And so I sort of took a little bit of my like artistic, as you could say, and made it more into the athletic side. And that's really where like my dance team foundation came from. And then during those times, during auditions and meeting Ronnie, as we were coaching, I was over at Notre Dame Prep, was the dance director over there for, not dance director, sorry, the spirit line director over there overseeing pom and cheer. And then again, Ronnie moved here. We met. We have Danielle, who was coaching Chaparral. We would compare score sheets and really create this camaraderie within our teams to be supportive of each other, even though they were competing against each other. And
Yeah.
then kind of like the basis.
2010. Like
Yeah.
even back then when we were competitors, like top teams in the state against each other, we were always like, utilize your resources,
Yeah.
model the behavior for like your kids on like fierce but friendly, like when we were at camp together and our teams had so much fun together, even though they just had
Competitors.
such respect.
Yeah.
And we loved that.
Yeah.
Like even when Sharpen Up formed, it was like, that was the foundation of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So just like a little bit of
Amazing.
background, also because we hate talking about ourselves. Like I think that's the big thing now is like Instagram and YouTube and TikTok and all of that. Like we
Yeah.
kind of grew up in an era of like you don't really talk about your accolades, you just go and do them.
Go and do it.
And
Yep.
so kind of makes me nervous when I have to talk about myself.
Well, this is going to be a whole interview talking about both of you.
I
But,
know, right?
but I feel like it's going to be fun because we're talking about like what you guys built together. So
Yeah.
let's go into that when you guys actually started talking about like what Sharpen Up is going to be. What are you going to offer to the community and like how it's just built?
Because even though when we were coming together, we were Sharpen Up without just a name. Like
Yeah, that's
Sharpen
true.
Up, like the branding and the trademark of Sharpen Up has been 7 seasons, but I would say really it's been, 17 seasons of
Wow,
us
yeah.
coming together to really create the foundation that we wanted to turn into a business, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really neat that we, even coming off of our coaching runs, right? We were becoming moms. We stepped away from coaching an actual team, but had this huge thing going to prep dancers for high school teams. So the three of us coaches would put together workshops, and it was like a massive turnout. We were doing 3-day mock audition workshops and still modeling that behavior, helping coaches. We each kind of had our own consulting businesses on the side that we were doing. She was still doing choreography. And the more and more that we just continued to do the same things, it was getting confusing to people because we were such a, 3-person unit. And we
Yeah.
felt like we were so much stronger together that we just decided that let's just merge it. Like, let's just go in and be, the strong triangle, all
Yeah.
together and bring all of our sides of expertise to it and just be a force that can't be reckoned with. We
Really,
really happened organically.
we
you
dumped
know?
3 businesses into one. Because even after Sharpen Up was formed, I still had inspiration choreography. And it's actually kind of funny because at the coaches conference, I was meeting other people and they're like, you're inspiration choreography, but you're Sharpen Up. And I was like, oh my gosh, well, you're this choreographer too. And it was exciting to be able to, again, there's enough teams and enough people to go around everywhere. So it didn't
Yes.
feel like competition. It felt like support. And so at that point, as Sharpen Up was growing, it was like, why do I have this other choreography side? We're putting choreography into Sharpen Up too, so that we can really be like, again, gold standard in palm training and dance team training. Like, let's put it all in here so that we can have so many eyes on everything to help grow these programs and help educate the coaches and help each team really put their best foot forward without like holding on to everything.
I was just going to say, to know the history that inspiration and, Radiance came together for like the past customers was important, but for us moving forward and what we want to do coming together with Sharpen Up was less confusing.
Totally. Well, and easier.
Yeah.
Like, we're a powerhouse team all together.
Yeah.
So it just makes sense
Yeah.
to have Sharpen Up be like a one name brand.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. I feel like in Arizona, like the dance team pocket in Arizona is so tight. And I feel like you can see that, especially when you watch competitions, like it it doesn't feel overly competitive and you could feel the support from one another. However, Sharpen Up brands, like when you guys go to events, do you feel different?
Well, we're wondering what events you're speaking of
Yes.
because
So one that I've heard of, I'm not talking about AIA if that's what you're talking about, but when I was watching, when I was hearing a lot of feedback back from DTU's event, it felt very supportive and a lot of people were talking like, supporting one another, right?
The thing I think probably why you feel the openness at like a DTU event is DTU doesn't have anything to hide with their scores. I think that's
Right.
something that's so great. And that's why you can hear everybody's comments.
You guys have branched out and touched in many different states though. Like you guys have had events. You guys have one coming up in Colorado, which I definitely want to talk about.
Yeah.
How has it been that you guys are able to branch out and go to these different pockets when your home is Arizona?
Lindsey and I and Danielle have extensive experience judging multiple different brands across the country and speaking at conferences. So we've been able to make a lot of really great connections. I served for a couple of years on a National Dance Coaches Association as director of education, and Lindsey was assistant with partnerships there. So we really formed a lot of great bonds there and really great connections as well. And then just the credibility overall to be able to be asked to judge in all these different states and venues has been amazing. So that's really been helpful with our business and networking and branching out to be able to
utilize our resources and find the people who are very like-minded. I think what happens sometimes is that, we're in the TikTok and Instagram era, but there was so many people that are, vets to the industry that have really paved the way. And when we find them and we get the privilege to judge with these seasoned men and women, it's such an honor to be among them. So we're learning from them. And then that's how it's because like we make the connections and we're nice to people and they like having us around.
Your former USA experience and I was with UDA, we really just make sure that just reach out to people that in the industry and I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine kind of thing has been really helpful.
Yeah.
So, and even just with our staff and the dancers that we dance, the dance world is so small and the connections that you make along the way are so important because you never know in 10 years how that's going to come back and help you.
Or hurt you.
Yeah, or hurt you.
Let's be real.
No kidding.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
So that's really what we try to educate our younger generation as well.
Yeah. And I want to get into that because I was able to go to your guys' event this past 2025 and I absolutely loved it. I think when I talk to a lot of athletes about recruiting events, they talk about the same thing that you guys mentioned, is that you get lost in the sea of dancers, and you can go to recruiting events and you could really feel like you're giving your all out there, but you're not being seen.
Yeah.
And one thing I will always praise your guys' event for, and every time I talk to people about your event, I always say this, is that I felt like I was able to see every dancer, and I was not a recruiter. I was just there kind of like getting the vibes, taking content, like all the things. And if I felt that, I know the recruiters definitely were able to see everyone. How are you guys able to structure that, and what makes a Sharpen Up event so special in that way?
Before, because I'm going to let Ronnie take that, because this is all her,
I
like
know.
programming,
She's
all of
getting
this is her.
excited. I see her adjusting herself.
But I also just want to say, like, thanks so much for that feedback, Kyle. Like, we are constantly growing and trying to improve. And the fact that you got to see our messaging and it's so crystal clear is really huge. I get like kind of emotional about it because if you're able to see that with coming from the first time, we're doing our job. So just
Absolutely.
thanks for that feedback. That means the world to us. So
Absolutely. Yes. So the Sharpen Up Summit was started in response to a need to connect dancers with recruiters, obviously. I have a master's in secondary teaching. I've spent a lot of time as a teacher. The education side of things for Sharpen Up is it's always a student focus for us, and it always has been. So we wanted to create an environment where it's student athlete focused with the foundation in education, the preparation. Everything that we've done as coaches for the past 15 years, even before coming together, has been workshops to prepare on all the things. You know, what do you look like? How do you act? How do you speak? All of these golden nuggets, we call them, are just as important as the dance technique because there's a home for every dancer. It's not just about the top tier,
10%.
team, 10% teams that
yeah.
are going to, be recruiting, as well as those dancers that are going to be making those teams. There's a place for everyone. And we want dancers to come in where they're at and be seen and know that this is not an audition and you don't have to be ready. You're going to come in and you're going to learn and you're going to make connections. And this is not an intimidating environment. And we're here to help you. And with that, we don't want it to be a huge cluster, right, of people just trying to, dance their hearts out and they spend this kind of money. It's a huge family decision and financial impact for the family to decide to fly across the country to meet very important people. And we want them to have a really stellar experience. And so to be able to give them an opportunity to showcase what they're bringing to the table and have dedicated time with every single recruiter that comes is the main thing for us.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even stop with just the dancers. We have really important programming for the parents too, because that's a huge part of that triangle. And then the coaches as well. We want to make sure that everybody that's at our event finds it very valuable, very welcoming, and like they're positive contributors.
Yeah.
It's really important for us to also, like, just as yourself, you have experienced it, to make sure that our recruiters, everything from, the different colleges that come in or the agencies or, the cruise ships or and even our vendors as well.
Yeah.
Like everybody is very well taken care of. Like it's huge for me. I come from a sales background. I did business development for mortgage companies. Like I am in there. So I really implement that side just from a like the partnership like standpoint and all of that. Like when I owned my dance studio, I would go to specific competitions because if I'm going to be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like please have a cup of coffee for me or like something like that. Like I know it sounds so stupid or petty or whatever, but it's important for me to know that these recruiters who are coming and the people that athletes and artists are coming to see, that those people feel like, hey, I only have a small budget. I want to come to this because I like what Sharpen Up stands for. I like their core values. I like that I can be myself and I don't have on the show from, all that kind of stuff. So even just like the athletes feel like VIPs, the parents who are there feel like VIPs, and then obviously, the recruiters, hopefully anyways.
Yes.
I've been to a few events at this point, recruiting events. And one thing that I was really drawn to about yours was and correct me if I'm wrong after this, but the dancers that were attending the event received the material prior to going, or they learned the material before they were actually put in front of the recruiters. And I don't mean like learned it and then a few hours put it in front. No, they learned it. Then it was like the next day they got to sleep on it. They got to do all the cleans. Next day perform. Actually, I think the entire first day I was there were no recruiters at all. It was
Correct.
all prep for the next day when all the recruiters come.
Yes.
That's so different amongst a lot because that builds the confidence for dancers. Why do you guys do it that way?
That's a great question. I appreciate that you see those differences. There's so many great recruiting opportunities out there. The companies they're giving dancers opportunities and different experiences, and that is hugely valuable. And we are also trying to give them something different that sets them up for success. So again, with just the student focused success side of things that we're really adamant about, being able to provide them with the dance material in advance. We give them 2 to 3 weeks to learn it and perfect it so that their nerves are calmed. That's the whole thing, is when they come in on day one, they are very nervous. It is,
Mhm.
and we don't want it to feel like a convention in that regard where it's just showing up to get the material and, it's fun and then you can like learn it and then forget it. We want them to show quality showcases. That gives them the best opportunity to be seen and noticed by a recruiter. The recruiters do get the information ahead of time as well, that they've learned this 3 weeks in advance, and
Yeah.
we had time to really polish it and clean it up on the first day. When they show up on day 2, Kyle, the energy totally shifts. They are happy. They look forward to
Mhm.
seeing their new friends, their future teammates. They are ready. They've taken the feedback that they've given and they've applied it and they feel confident. And it's a totally different vibe on that second day when the recruiters are in the room, because that even just adds another layer of, tension sometimes of, my gosh, why am I here and what am I doing? They can just
Yeah.
come in and be a little bit more authentic and really show them their true selves. And not all of the material is learned in advance. We do have master instructors that come in to kind of change it up, and it's more industry style, and it kind of,
Mhm.
gets the
Yeah.
vibe all hype and stuff. But for the most part, what they're going to be showcasing is learned in advance.
Isn't
Yeah.
the goal at the end of the day to put your best foot forward for
Yes.
these dancers? Like,
Let them shine.
brain drain is
Absolutely.
real.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
happens if you're learning 3 routines in one day on top of your nerves, flying across the country, meeting new people, your
Mhm.
school is there. My goodness, like
Yes.
the goal isn't to call out the bad dancers and and not even bad dancers. I'm sorry. The most inexperienced dancers. It's so that every single person can put their best foot forward and give them the opportunity to learn these
Mhm.
things so that they feel prepared. Again, like Ronnie talks about education. This is not everybody. I mean, yes, maybe, auditions that I've gone to, I've had to learn it in the day and perform it and then I got cut or not. But like
Mhm.
Yeah.
other things is now with, Zoom and after COVID and all this, like everybody's doing this online, like you said, the recruiting videos and things like that. So our goal isn't to just have that top 10% of our dancers that are attending our event to be seen and get recruited. There are 90% of dancers out there that will make a team. And it might not be the top teams that you see all over Placid UDA college nationals, but there is a place for everybody. And we want to make sure that everybody is fully prepared for that place that they're going to be eventually calling home.
And let's be honest, the top tier dancers, they don't really need us to make a team. They're already like being
There are,
snatched up
yeah.
by several schools. Same thing with those top tier schools. They're trying to get their names out there. They want to come
Yep.
to Arizona to see the talent. Of course, we love having them. But our model has always been to help the smaller schools shine because they have so much to offer. Same thing with the 90% of dancers who maybe aren't that very top echelon being recruited out the gate as juniors. Let's
Mhm.
get them seen. Let's give them the same chance as the other dancers.
DTU Nationals 2026 apparel is here. Pre-orders are officially open, and trust us, you do not want to miss this. This exclusive DTU Nationals 2026 gear available for a limited time only. Get 10% in celebration of DTU Season 10, our biggest milestone yet. Rep the season, rep the legacy, rep DTU. Pre-order now while supplies last, and make sure your Nationals ready in style. DTU Nationals 2026 apparel. Don't miss it. Dance Team Supply is a proud sponsor of the No Counts Given podcast. We exist to make training clearer, cleaner, and way more intentional for dancers and coaches. From technique tools to team essentials, we've got what you need to train smarter and show up stronger. Oh, and yes, we are the home of the viral Sharpen Up movement bands. From practice to performance, we've got it. Visit us online at danceteamsupply.com.
And then it's up to you
Right.
at this point.
Yeah,
Right.
at that
Like we
point,
see
yeah.
dancers who are phenomenal, and then they get in front of, an audition set and they completely bomb it
Yeah.
because they haven't been prepared or they have been prepared. That's up to you. We've given you can't lead a horse to water. What do you say? Lead a horse to water?
You can
Like,
lead a
I
horse to water.
but can't make them drink.
Yeah. Okay, I have one more brag about your guys' event because this is also different and I loved this model. The ones leading the classes for
Yeah.
the athletes are the college dancers from these colleges that are there recruiting, right? So
Yeah.
they're kind of getting a taste of what it is to learn from U of A or ASU or all of these other colleges, which I find to be so important because everyone has a different coaching style. I have a very different coaching style than Lindsey might have, than Roddy might have. So
Yeah.
being able to be like led in just that small amount of time and see how these athletes, are in front of a public setting teaching, I think is really incredible. Is that something you guys have always done or is that like changed over time?
By no mistake, very intentional. Kind of back to the whole learning, making it real, getting a taste. Like, what better experience than to really see what the U of A game day style is like? That's why we
Yeah.
have them do the game day sparkle every year.
Yeah.
You know,
It's so fun.
TCU with their new, gold medal. Like, they've always been amazing at the contemporary. So why not put them, on the stage to get a little taste so people can feel that? That's going to be the step one for these dancers, is to really connect with the style, the dancing, and the golden nuggets are also led by the coaches. So they get some really quality face time, and it helps humanize them so that when the dancers are visiting the table, they're not scared to talk to the dancers or the coach as much. And then that leads into inviting them to a clinic and them being intrigued. So it's always been very intentional for us to make sure that all of those different styles are showcased.
And Ronnie's done such a really great job to make sure that it's constantly rotating at each of our events. So it's not always the same teams that are teaching.
Yeah.
When she's contacting these coaches and saying, hey, we only allow so many recruiters to be there. We only allow so many athletes because then if we go out of our box, then we're going against all of the things that we've said that we're trying to create.
Yeah.
So when Ronnie is really, contacting these coaches saying like, hey, we really want you at our event, like what style, if you want to teach, like what style do you feel is going to be the best to be represented your program? And so I think that that's great because then it's not like, oh, you're coming to Arizona, you're only going to get the Arizona teams teaching. No, you're going to have different teams because she locks it in early,
Yes, that is really important, especially with our format. We cap our recruiter numbers at 24. It makes the timetable rotations work perfectly with our schedule so that the recruiters get that quality time with all the dancers. The dancers can have face-to-face time instead of standing in really long lines and never talking to their celebrity coach favorite. So that's really important for us, and so it's pretty exclusive. We have a great mix of all the different level division schools here at our summit, which we really pride ourselves on. And then just making sure to rotate through those different styles is really important as well, just to kind of give everybody a little bit of a different feel.
This is going out on Thursday, but today we are like a month out, are we, from Colorado pop-up? 28th is golden hour, and then the 1st is the event in Colorado. So can you guys tell me what's going on? Who's going to be there? Is it sold out? Can I still register? Like what's the deets?
It's not sold out yet. We are still pushing registration for another week. So since this is going out on Thursday, we'll extend this. Let's extend it another week.
Yeah, I think that's
so
a good idea.
Listeners can hear. So February 6th, I think, would be when we would need to close it. We got to get t-shirts ordered and the material out, so that would be fair. But we're really excited to be in Colorado. We're partnering with the Colorado Spirit Coaches Association for the second year. They're incredible friends of ours. They run amazing events, and they're also a coaches support system there in Colorado. And what we love about the pop-ups is they are like a bite-sized version of a bigger summit.
Yeah.
So this is a great prep, especially going into audition season, gearing up for our summit here in June here in Arizona. It's more cost effective for the parents. It's smaller, more intimate. So we'll have about 100 athletes at this one. We have 12 colleges already committed. So you'll see on our Instagram, we're already kind of sharing who that is. Arizona State's going to be there, University of Arizona. Yep, Colorado.
Some of the Arizona teams.
Colorado State. Yep. University of Northern Colorado, Regis University, Central Methodist from
Oh,
Missouri.
wow.
Yeah, we've got some
Yeah.
people coming out from other schools. Hope International University. I'm trying to go through the whole list here.
Ottawa. Is Ottawa?
I'm not sure if Ottawa's
Okay.
coming. They
Okay.
expressed interest, so
Okay.
hopefully we'll see Ottawa there as well. So yeah, we've got a
Get on it, Ottawa. They'll show
Yeah,
you
come
out.
on, Ottawa.
a great lineup already of amazing recruiters there. So
Yeah.
and wanted to mention we do have Katie Fearlane, who's going to be our
Yay.
contemporary master instructor. So she does phenomenal jazz routines with Tennessee. She's also the palm choreographer
Yeah,
for King
she's
State.
incredible.
Yeah, so she's local to Colorado. She was excited to jump on board. I think it's going to be a great opportunity to learn from her.
And vendors
Yes,
that will
great
be there
vendors.
too.
And then Nikki from UNLV, she's world
Oh,
champ
nice.
and
Yeah.
national champ with them. She'll be there to do a master class for hip hop. So we're thrilled about that. And then Izzy Montez from Arizona, back at UDA this year. She'll be doing kind of a team combo, but it'll be more palm based, a little bit of hip hop.
Yeah. Very nice. Where is it located in Colorado?
It's going to be held at Cherokee Trail High School.
Cherokee Trail.
Yes.
Okay. Very nice. And after Colorado, what's next? What event do you guys do next? Is it back in Arizona?
It's going to be back in Arizona. We've changed dates this year. We're going to do June 12th through the 14th here in Phoenix. Location is to be announced soon. So we're kind of just coming after the Rocky Mountain pop-up. We like to kind of do like a frequent flyer type thing. So
Yes.
the our events get first access and first dibs on registration. So that's why we're kind of keeping it hush hush. We're going to reveal all the stuff while we're in Colorado. So
Yeah.
yes,
Very nice.
that's
How
very
exciting.
exciting.
Yeah. Okay. I want to ask you guys about the Common Recruit video. I just want to know, like, what I feel like I've been getting a lot of mixed back and forth opinions from coaches. I haven't, since this past deadline, which was January 1st, was it? It was somewhere around this most recent.
Yes.
Yeah. I haven't really heard much. Okay. What are the pros and cons, I guess I can say, how that would tie into recruitment? If
Yeah.
athletes are sending videos into all these different colleges, why do I need to go to a recruitment event? Right. So why is
Right.
that still important to go to these events?
I think the initial idea of the Common Recruit is to try and help standardize and streamline things. So I think the idea behind it is good natured. I think there's some kinks to still
For
work
sure.
out. There is an early deadline that is September 1st that the universities can choose to partake in, which does help their timelines not be so crunched. And then the regular deadline is January 1st. I think what they did not anticipate, recruiters that is a huge influx in videos.
Yeah.
Because once you have a video set, why can't you just send it off to 12 different schools? So I think them trying to sift through the volume of videos has been tedious and,
Yeah.
overwhelming for them. So what's happening is the dancers and the parents aren't hearing back from those colleges. So I think NDCA needs to kind of revisit that aspect of like, okay, well, then what happens? Is it if you don't hear by November 1st, that means move on? Or is there going to be a requirement to at least send an email of thank you for your video? We're not interested at this time. Like there needs to be some type of clarification on the response side of it. However, for the dancers and the families, it's a great thing because they don't have to try and reproduce several
Yeah.
videos for every single different audition they want to go to. Also, it is much a preliminary round. By this point, when you're a senior and you're submitting your video, you should already have established a relationship with those coaches. A summit is step one because you're going to make a connection. Interest is going to be piqued. I see a lot of stats out there from other companies that are talking about scholarships that are given,
Connections.
recruitment.
Yeah.
We recruited this many, we gave this amount of scholarships, but that's not real at that moment. There's opportunity to provide scholarships, but there's so much that happens after that, right? Like the acceptance letter, how much is each person getting?
Transcript.
So it's
things like
really
that.
important that companies do their due diligence and make sure that they're giving factual information based on their event, or clarify it with these students actually got recruited and this how much was
Thank you.
rewarded.
Okay. Can I ask a question on that? Because I've asked this to myself several of times, and I've wondered, how do companies know, like, okay, you post tomorrow, Sharpen Up this season had 250 athletes, 32 of them got recruited from this event. How do you really know 32 of them really got recruited from that event if maybe I met ASU at Sharpen Up and then I met at DTU, or, like, how do I really know I got recruited from this event, and how are those stats accurate when I publish those?
It would be really hard to get them very accurate because that's going to require follow-up surveys and 100% compliance in filling that out. And who's that coming from? The dancer or the coaches? Who has the time to do that with the responses? We do send feedback surveys. We do pull the coaches ahead of time. How much scholarship money do you have to offer? They usually give us a team amount, which is great because that's great information for dancers to know, oh, coming into this, I could earn this scholarship.
Yes.
And what are the other ways to be supportive of a dancer? What are they going to get as far as, student services, nutrition, strength and conditioning, mental health, wellness, that kind of thing. There's so many things that are offered, but I find it very difficult to provide extremely accurate information. There's a
Especially
lot
with
of
crossovers. Like,
Yeah.
think
Of
about
course.
this. Some of these
Yeah.
athletes are going to if
all
they
the
have
events.
financial,
Yes.
like they can go everywhere. And if you're going to have, and we'll just say ASU because ASU,
Yeah.
they're in Arizona. Like
Yeah.
if ASU is going to, our events in Colorado and in Arizona, and they're going to other company events, if some of these athletes who live in Colorado are going to come to the Sharpen Up ones and then go to somewhere in Dallas or go to somewhere in Orlando or whatever, and ASU is at all of them, that means ASU has actually made that connection. And again, sorry, Bianca, for like dropping ASU so much.
We
but,
love
like,
Bianca.
I was
Bianca,
like,
we
we love
love you.
Bianca.
We love
Like,
Bianca.
but like that's the thing is, could she have like finally seen that athlete at the fourth event that she has seen that athlete there and now gave, you know what I mean? Like, unless
Yes.
there are companies that are exclusive to the one recruiting model, and even that would mean they couldn't even almost host their own at their own school,
Yeah.
then you're not like, you're going to get accurate numbers, but you're like not
Yeah.
at the same time.
So can you get recruited and earn scholarships at the summit? Yes. Do we know the
Mhm.
exact amounts or when that's going to happen? No.
No. Yeah.
You still have to create the relationship. Go
Mhm.
to, like, the coaches want you at their clinic. They need to see you with their
Yes.
dancers. They need to see you at a full practice before they offer you recruitment letter. And that might even be, hey, bypass to the second round of auditions. You still need to like show us your stuff next to the rest of the, dance communities.
Yeah.
Did I
Yeah.
answer?
I have a question for
Yeah,
you guys.
was that
No,
a
no,
good
no.
answer? Was that a
I
right?
think that was perfect because you guys brought that up, and it's something that,
Just
listen,
say
I
it,
was
I worked
trying to
in,
Kyle.
be
I worked in
cognizant of
sales.
that.
I worked in sales as well too. So
Yeah.
like I get it. I know you have to crank up the numbers, show the stats to get people interested or want
Right.
to invest in your business. So
Right.
I get it. I get
Yes.
it. So that's not, however, I'm going to bypass another direction. I have a great question actually, because I met an athlete a few months ago at a recruiting event, senior, very talented athlete, is now in February and not hearing back from coaches, not hearing back from colleges, not getting responses. What is the direction that we go now? Being a senior, it's February, we're already planning graduation. Like
Great program.
it's
Mhm.
it's stressful and it's tough to be in that situation. What advice can you give to those athletes or
Mhm.
dancers?
That's such a great question. It's so hard to just pinpoint based on one dancer's experience because there's
For
probably
sure.
thousands of experiences. And we don't know, what schools he or she has applied to.
Yeah.
Again, don't know what the timeline is for the response.
Yeah.
You can just continue to be diligent about following up with those coaches and seeking a response. I would say, if you're not hearing, there's your answer. Also, what else could you be doing in the meantime to prepare? So after the summit, step 2 would be the college dance launch. Like, get your video evaluated before you submit it to make sure that it's really standing out, follows the instructions. You can see where you stack up. Did you submit your video to schools that align with your talents and your strengths? Because that's going to be very important as well. Then, where you find opportunities for improvement, we can then set you up with a mentor to be mentored into, developing the strengths and furthering your opportunities with these schools.
Yeah.
And
I'm
it's
actually
really
very
setting you up to put, again, your best
Mhm.
foot forward.
Right.
We're not the end all be all and the,
Yes, thank
psychics
you.
that know
Right.
exactly where you're
Yes.
going to go, but we can give you the tools to help you. And there's other programs out there that can too. So
Absolutely, yes.
we stand behind our product and what we do because we feel that, again,
Mhm.
giving you all of the education that you can have to put your
Yes.
best foot forward, or say like, hey, you are looking at these schools,
Right.
and unfortunately, it's not really realistic for where you're going to fall with your
Yeah.
abilities. I know you want to go there. Maybe you've been accepted from an academic standpoint, but they already have their teams picked for whatever.
Yes.
Well,
So we just want to give you the
yeah, a
tools.
lot of them do. They already know who they're going to choose. I guess I
Oh, yeah.
would encourage the coaches. I know several coaches that are great about making sure that no matter what, the dancers receive a thanks but no thanks. That's great. I
Yeah.
know a lot more that I understand. We've been coaches, we get it. You're so busy. We just came off of nationals. That like, does the January 1st timeline really make sense with the UDA?
No.
Whatever.
Let's be
But
real.
it's like I get it. You're busy, but can we agree to do something, whether it's a blast email of the list of 80 people that you're not inviting? Can they just get a thanks but no thanks? Not sure if that's realistic, but I feel like that would help the kids who are so in the dark and wondering, do I go to plan B? Am I gearing up for then auditions?
Yeah.
That would be fair.
But let's also dive deep into, like Ronnie said, realistic wise too. The dance world is very different from like the common, I don't like common job. But
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. You have a resume, and I'm going to go
Yeah.
outside of dance for a minute, but you have a resume, you're on jobbing.com, whatever, after college, you send your resume out to 1,000 different companies that you want to go work for.
Yeah.
Most likely they're going to see you at a job fair, and that's going to put the connection if they actually even reviewed your resume. And
Yep.
so again, a lot of these things are getting in front of people and making the connections and creating the relationships. So if you're not putting your best foot forward, that's always going to be the hardest thing. And you might not always hear. I mean, how many auditions did I go on
Mm.
for Britney Spears or something and
Yeah.
didn't make it? And it was like, hi. They're not giving you a reason why. They're not, that's just you might not be their look,
Right.
or you're
Yeah.
blonde, or you're, you know what I mean? So it's just, sometimes they're just not going to respond because these coaches are working their booties off and they're trying to set up their team for the,
So then say if you haven't gotten an invitation to the next round by February 15th, move on. Then we know.
Move on.
yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
There's a
Yeah.
happy compromise right there.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, so let's talk about your mentors for a second and the ones that you have in, with Sharpen Up that help lead these athletes and review these videos. Because I know if I was a parent and my kid wanted to go to that top 1% school and in my head, I knew they weren't there as a parent, I'm still going to be like, yeah, you got it. Go for it. So having that mentor and someone just to be like, listen, this is not realistic. This is more of a realistic route, or look at these areas. Here's where kind of where we're missing. Who are these mentors helping, advising these athletes through these times?
Very well thought out. What does this need to consist of, right? This isn't, willy-nilly, let's just get into a private lesson. It's very strategic and facts-based. So Ramona Kitching has really helped me develop the evaluation side of things. So we have, it's really set up to mimic the NDCA video. So we provide them a list of skills that they need to film and a team combo that they learn and submit a video. And then we have criteria that we score them on and give them verbal and written feedback. So the parent and the dancer gets to meet with our evaluators, our expert evaluators, and they learn where they're scoring and where their strengths and weaknesses are. And that directly aligns with kind of a grading scale for these dance teams. So for instance, if you're, it's on a scale from 1 to 5, let's say they scored a 5. We've got schools listed like Ohio State that's in the category of 5. Right? Like we said, 90% of them don't fall in that category. So then we've got the universities listed that's going to help them understand currently this is where you are ranking and what would be realistic for you. What's your stretch goal? Where could we get you in a reasonable amount of time based on whether you're freshman, sophomore, junior, or fast track senior?
Yeah.
We have those, and then from there, they tell us, this is the type of school I want to go to. I've spoken with my family. Financially, this is what we can afford, or climate wise, this is where I see myself, whatever, all those factors that we help coach you through. And then we can set them up with a mentor that's specific to their goals. We even have multi-mentor experiences where it's like, I have no idea, because there's those two where it's like, I need to taste all the flavors. So we can set them up with a mentor from each type of school so they can learn about the school, learn about what it's like to be a college dancer and how to manage your schedule, ask all the questions, visit the campus, learn the fight song, whatever it is that helps them understand the program better before showing up to a clinic or spending the money to fly across the country when we don't even know yet. So it's really
Yeah.
a great program to launch you to the next level.
But again, do they have your major?
Yeah,
You
I
know,
know.
Of all the things.
that's the thing. It's not just, I love that, they're connecting with the dancer and the parent together, because even when I made that shift of not going to Broadway in New York and going like, okay, well, now what am I going to do? My family knew that I was probably not going to be going to school for like business. I mean, granted, I
Yeah.
probably should have with all the business stuff, but at the same time, I was a dancer. So going, all right, then I want to be a dance major. And what kind of dance major is that? If I'm just going to major in just modern dance, like I love modern dance, foundation of contemporary, but like at the same time, I also needed to fulfill my path of what my future from 5 to 10 to 20 years after college is going to look like. So it's so great that the family, it's not like Ronnie said, it's not like just a private lesson of somebody being like, okay, this is how you do your makeup and this is how you hold your, yes, they're doing that, but it's also dissecting the human first of going, but what do you want to do in your future? I know the now is you want to dance on dance team, but you want to be a nurse. Okay, well, these programs aren't going to work for you because you can't have your residency and be on dance team. There's some programs that don't allow you, just like with me.
Yeah.
I could not be a dance major at the time and be on the dance team. So it's just, you have to, those resources are out there as a parent if you're really diving into it and looking at the 500 million gajillion colleges that have a program. But we kind of cut that out to be able to educate the parent too, to help set up their dancer for success after dance. Because, you could go be on this dance team, and what happens if you're a freshman and you tear something or you hurt something? Then what?
You have to love the university too.
Yeah, you have to love that.
Really emphasize the parents too. It's scary for parents. They want to help and they don't know how, and they don't want to overstep. So it's not necessarily a training program for them too, but just education for them to better understand how they can be a positive contributor and helper without being overbearing and still helping their son or daughter make the decision and them not doing it for them. So
Absolutely. All right, last thing I want to talk about is your Sharpen Up bands. I have to tell you guys, after you guys gave me mine, I brought it home. Okay, where can I find these? What are the purpose for them? Because I know you guys do them different than other stretch bands that we've seen. So can you guys like kind of tell me how different yours is from the other ones that we see?
Yeah. I was like, so the biggest reason why the stretch band even came into play is, yes, you're absolutely right. There are so many different bands. Even when I was working for a cheerleading shoe company, they had their own cheerleading stretch door band things that they would sell and like all of those things. So it wasn't stretchy though. It was like, anyways.
Yeah.
But the thing is with our bands is we were going in and working with so many teams as Sharpen Up came as, again, dance team training. It's like by the time the end of November hits, these athletes are sitting, recovering. I've torn something, I've hurt something, because we really, from dance training at the age of 3, if that's when you're starting, all the way until you decide to go make a dance team, you are trained as dance as an artist. It's a movement expression. This is how, if you can't do something, you get to run off stage. Like, it's different on dance team. And even I can go into a whole thing with like the UDA, all that stuff. But it's like, you're required to do the exact same thing and be little palm bots for everybody. So that way you're scoring. Well, if somebody is very flexible and somebody is very strong and not as flexible, you're going to have these injuries happen when you're expecting your team to be doing the same thing. So, with Ronnie and Danielle and myself all being in the dance world for so long, we always trained our dancers first. Ballet so many times a week, having actual technique training, not just like warm up and jump into your routine. So we set up all of the, again, education. We call it the perfect practice plan and Sharpen Up. So that way that you know exactly what you're going to be working on when you come in there. And so we're going, all right, we're seeing a need for strength and resistance training. Even, Brady is not lifting 900 pounds of weight. They're doing resistance training. And so when we started to really look at this and partnering with other people and getting feedback, it has been a very slow launch so that we could see the actual training from a year-long perspective. So UNLV was kind of our guinea pig full team that we put them in the bands. And then from there, obviously, they were such strong, sharp dancers that from there, it kind of like took off. And so that's where these resistant bands came in. We're constantly developing new exercises to target different muscles. Ronnie's husband is actually a chiropractor. So even just
Oh,
putting things
wow.
through
I didn't know
him to
that.
go, hey, what do you think about this? How is this going to strengthen this muscle? Ronnie is certified in Sugarfoot. So taking a bunch of different resources and picking their brain to make sure that we're setting our athletes up to truly be athletes, because we know dancers aren't just training a couple of days. They're in ballroom, hip hop, jazz,
Yep.
lyrical, ballet, acro, swimming, Pilates, yoga. Like they're doing all these things. So that's really how the resistance band came about, to make sure that we're targeting the correct muscles so that they can do the things that are required of them to build the resistance strength. So the injuries, it really became first injury prevention and building that strength.
And in a safe way too.
Amazing.
So even with like the concentric and eccentric contractions, making sure that that resistance is consistent both directions. So there's not yanking on, when you have weights, it just keeps it
Yeah.
really, injury free. So
Mhm.
it's a
Yeah.
safer way and effective.
And the
Yeah.
cool thing with ours too is like we have a notch at the end. So like when you're looking at these bands, this can go into the door. Like
Mhm.
obviously, so you're not going to pull the door towards you. So you
Yeah.
wouldn't have it the opposite way. But it goes into the door so that you can even have more of a resistance. It holds up to 1,000 pounds. So you're able to use it as a reformer, like a TRX band.
Yeah.
And the, like Ronnie said, the stretch from the beginning to the end is going to be consistent throughout. So, you can tighten up to have more weight. You can loosen up to have less. Obviously, you're not going to want to have it be super, super tight when you're doing like your all cones, but you're going to want to have a little bit more strength when you're doing your motion technique.
It
Yeah.
really just helps you connect, like what are you thinking when you're squeezing that muscle, and how does that muscle contract to be able to execute the move that we're doing? So when you take the band off, you can recreate that, and that's where you're going to get that resistance, the tension, the really
Yeah.
nice execution in your routines.
And it shows
Yeah.
kind of where the displacement is too.
Mhm.
Dancers all the time on cones, we see kind of their hip lift and rotate in. It, because of the resistance there, you can actually see the legs start to kind of like go in, so they're going, it makes sense now because they've been training
Yeah.
specific ways since they were so young. And every dancer is from a different studio and different types of training. So this again teamifies. The bands really help teamify to build that strength within the team.
And I just want to
Yeah.
brag about this band first, but since we're talking about kind of the differences, there are bands out there, and if you're using bands, you're ahead of the game. But what we love about ours is they're, yes, it's modular, but
I
within the
think I know what
different,
you're gonna say.
do you want
I
to
feel
go
like I know
first?
what you're gonna say. The middle of it, the stretch in the middle.
Or lack
Yeah.
thereof. There's no stretch in the
Or
middle. Yes,
lacquer. There you go. Yes.
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 But also each of the loops are different sizes. So the third one is meant to
Yeah.
be wearable, like around, like
Your
Kyle,
thighs.
your huge biceps,
Oh,
or
thank
your
you.
leg,
Thank you.
And then the second one's a little smaller, and then of course the handheld part is good for your
Yeah.
hands and your feet.
That's more like my bicep right now, but thank you.
Yeah.
The multi loop at the end, to be able to wrap that around your
Like a
foot
stirrup.
like a turner, way you're
Yeah.
still being able to point and adjust your winging of your foot.
I have to say too, I mean, of course, with the proper education behind it, I would highly recommend this for dancers, because when you start learning, I didn't start like really taking weight training seriously until I danced for Warriors, which was like 4 or 5 years ago. I don't remember at this point. So long ago. But when I was weight training, then I started learning like how to move my muscles, how to control my motions, how to like move fluidly. And I started noticing how weight training really did, and I'm saying weight training, but I'll get there. Weight training really did help play a part in, just my movement quality and my control in general. And I found that with like a lot of just resistance work alone. So
Oh, yeah.
while, yes, I do feel like it could help all of those things, which I know it does, there's so much more to dancing that teaches you that you don't even know yet. And I think it's very beneficial for young dancers to start incorporating some kind of stretch band or weight training or something into their day, because it helps you beyond measures.
Like, it's interesting because, again, just, with you and your dance background and things, like when I was coaching, I utilized my resources within the school. So, like, the school had offered us to be able to use the weight room. But even then, it's like, okay, great. I'm going to use the football trainer within the Terry I would go and say to him, like, hey, I don't want you to train these athletes the same way that you're training the football team. They only need resistance for everything. And so I would actually sit with him and tell him what they needed. And everything he ended up doing was resistant band training. So it was so that we could accent both sides of the muscles, the triceps and the biceps, and the shoulders and the lats. Like being able to do all of that was super helpful. And I think that you're right. Like all of these schools that are out there, utilize your resources, utilize the things that you can, try to get yourself into the bands,
because most schools in the country don't have that luxury.
They
don't
don't.
have the weight room. They don't have those resources. And even if you do, that's another practice. You're going to get it maybe one time a week with all the other sports. So this is take it in your backpack. You get to use it at every practice. We have an online training to help coaches and dancers learn how to use it. So
we also come out and do like summer camps to really break it down at your team's abilities. Like what Sharpen Up prides themselves on, and what we pride ourselves on with everybody is that
I do that too. It's okay.
we're wanting to work at your abilities first, so we're not going to come in, and if you're a team that's barely doing single pirouettes, we're not just going to be drilling helicopters and box turns and all of that. Like we really want to make sure that we're setting your team up for success. So just like Ronnie said, we have the online training program, which is so great. We release new modular courses every single month, new things that are team specific, everything from team burnout to mental awareness, how to get through to your parents. And Ronnie and I will come in and talk about all the things we've experienced. But then we also will come out and do a full team workshop. We're going to be kind of going on tour a little bit and announcing those summer dates so that that way it can be really cost effective for your team.
Absolutely. And of course, we can't finish this conversation without asking, where can we find these stretch bands? I think I saw them on TikTok Shop, to be honest with you. Where can we find them? Yeah.
Well, our distributor is actually Dance Team Supply. So danceteamsupply.com is where you can order your band individually. There's also a button for teams who are tax exempt or want to pay with the PO. They can get that processed separately as well. So we do have team orders that come in quite frequently. And then we also, Sharpen Up offers a discount for any teams who are booking the band lab with us this summer and this spring.
Amazing. And Dance Team Supply is going to start becoming a familiar name on the podcast
pretty
soon too. So
and that'll be kind of like the one-stop shop for that, when we have kind of put this band in there, they've gotten this idea of saying like, hey, what else do dancers need?
Right.
So,
That's
everything from
what we need.
different companies that will be housed in there and
Absolutely.
ankle weights, yoga blocks, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Too. So
Exciting. Well, I'm like over time at this point, Lindsey, Ronnie. Thank
we
you
can talk
for coming
forever,
on.
Kyle. We love
And
it.
I am gonna say I'm gonna stop the recording really quick because I do have a question, not for the podcast. I don't want to air it on the podcast. So, but first, I'm just gonna say thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Really quick before we go, list your guys' website. I don't want to get it wrong. What is the website? Where can we find you guys? It's gonna be in the bio. It's gonna be in the show notes, but just give it to us before you leave.
SharpenUpDTT.com. So Sharpen Up like dance team training.com. And all of our services are listed there. So thank you so much for asking.
Amazing.
Thanks,
All
Kyle.
right.